lies, shenanigans. Truth, 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 lies, shenanigans. Shenanigans. Truth, lies, 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 shenanigans. Shenanigans. Truth, lies, shenanigans. Truth, lies, shenanigans. Truth, lies, shenanigans.
Hello, wonderful people. You found your way to Truth Lies Shenanigans, the live show. This is season 2, episode 7. I go by the name Neo Nix, and it's January 24th, 2021. For today's show, we have a very special guest, musician and comedian Nikki Yee shares her unique style of musical comedy that comes with a heavy dose of social commentary. She'll be performing her single, Dear John Smith, from her EP, The Key of Yee. Also in Hot Topics, Lizzie is talking about the Brits up in arms about Biden's removing Churchill's bust from the Oval Office. Gianni Storm tells us about Elon Musk's $100 million prize for carbon collection technologies. And with Kamala and Obama making first in the U.S., Robbie is asking if it's time to finally have an indigenous person as Governor General in Canada. So, should be a great show ahead. Before we get into it, let me introduce you to our wonderful hosts, our professor, writer, editor, journalist, and all-around sports guru out of Washington, D.C., Liz E. Enders.
What's up, everyone? Happy Sunday fun day. Hopefully you had a nice, quiet, even-keeled week because we have a new president in this country. It's been pretty quiet here in Washington, D.C., except for classes. My classes started on Friday, so I'm back to losing my head every day. 5 classes, Howard University, what's up?
And our very own rock star with the amazing rock band Fallen Machine, coming to you from Sudbury, Ontario, Rob B. Rock.
What's up? Happy Sunday, fun day, everyone. Hope everyone is doing well and everyone is happy and healthy. It's there was a lot less crazy in the news in this last week. I felt good.
It does feel good. It does feel good. A lot less crazy. All right. And streaming out of Atlanta, Georgia, our model, actor, college student, Gianni Storm.
Gigi. Hey, everybody. Hey, guys. I'm really excited to see Nikki's performance. I know you guys are going to like it. You're going to cut up to it. And I hope you have had a great week so far as well. I know that there hasn't been as much political craziness, but if you're into like entertainment news and celebrities, there's been drama this week. So
there's been a lot of drama going on.
And shout out to everybody on TikTok too.
Yeah, you're the one who found Nikki Yee, actually. So yeah, we appreciate you bringing her on, inviting her on. So all right, let's go. I have a quick fire question for you guys. All right, guys. Lawyers for terrorists who attacked the Capitol are mounting a defense. The defense is Trump made me do it. So my question is to you guys, is this a solid defense or you call him BS? Let's start with Lizzie Enders.
Bullshit. You know what? I just bought a new purse, so that's going to be my excuse for my bank account. Trump made me do it.
Robbie Rock?
Oh, it's bullshit. It's their very own freedom to make a series of bad decisions that made them do it. Just own it.
Exactly. Gianni Storm.
Bullshit. If Trump told you to jump off a bridge. Exactly. If Trump told you to jump off a bridge, would you do it?
Some of them would. No. Some of them would.
Please. If you're a guy and Trump told you to sleep with your mama, would you do it?
Some of them actually would, yes. So here's my answer.
Blame Canada!
Might as well blame Canada for everything.
Not Canada.
So that's my answer. We're going to blame Canada.
Good one. Points for Neo. Shots fired.
So do any of you believe this defense will actually work? And if it does, what does that mean for Trump?
I think
if the defense does work, it lends credence to the indictment towards him that he did, in fact, incite the mob. Because if that defense were to hold, then he's 100% responsible for it. But I don't think the defense will hold.
Yeah, I don't think it'll hold.
I was just going to say, I think in some respects it's kind of working a little bit. I saw an article from the Washington Post this week where the Department of Justice and the Capitol Police are trying to decide whether certain insurrectionists, certain rioters should even be charged, because they're using the claim that the DC jails would be overrun if they charged everyone. When have they used that excuse for Black folks? When have they used that excuse for minorities? Oh, we're not going to charge you for this petty crime because the court systems, the jails are full.
Because Obama made me do it. Obama made me.
I know.
You all right? So you think it's gonna hold up, Johnny, the defense?
I don't think I don't think that's a good enough defense. I mean, it is. I know that they're finding some some tweets that he had, and they're like extracting some things that he said that could be like obvious. But I don't think it'll hold. I don't know. That's a good. I don't think it'll. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, I don't think it'll ultimately hold, but if it did, it would be great because I think it would negatively impact him. Actually, I think
Yeah.
you know,
I think they're turning on Trump because Trump didn't pardon him or pardon them.
they didn't pardon any of them. So yeah, they're definitely turning on him. All right. So if you've never been to TLS before, let me tell you a little bit about us. Our hosts will be sharing their truths and opinions with you, calling out the lies, and pointing out those ridiculous shenanigans going on. And we always try to have fun with shenanigans of our own. Our show streams live just about everywhere: YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, Twitter, at TLS Live Show. And this season, we are streaming on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitch TV as well. So again, TLS Live Show across all those platforms. Invite your friends to hang out with us and listen in. Also, make sure you subscribe to the audio replay of the podcast on iTunes, Google, Alexa, Pandora, iHeart, you name it, you'll find us. Watch or listen, just search Truth, Lies, Shenanigans. All right, let's jump right into it. We have a very, very special guest today. Today's spotlight is on Nikki Yee. Welcome, Nikki. Welcome. How are you?
I am well. I loved the picture of me. That was really cool.
I'm glad you like that. I'm glad you like that. So just to let you know, Nikki Yee got her degree in radio and television from Ryerson University. Is that from Canada? Robbie would know who that is. And it's led to work on several film and television productions, including The Art of the Steal, After the Dark, Maps of the Stars, feature films Our House and The Journey is the Destination, and her current work as an associate producer on History Channel's Ice Road Truckers. But outside of producing, Nikki is an accomplished stand-up comedian and folk musician. She released her first EP, The Key of Yee, a collection of comedic protest songs in 2019. In her spare time, she enjoys dance, singing karaoke, and practicing Krav Maga. Did I say that right? Krav Maga?
Krav Maga.
Krav Maga. Gotta emphasize the okay. Nikki, thank you so much for joining the show. So Nikki, tell the audience a little bit about yourself, something we haven't already said.
Wow, yeah, I know. I feel like like we covered so much of it. I produce movies, I sing, I do pop music as well. I guess that's the one thing we missed was my newest song is called Radicalize, available everywhere, just like your podcast and show. Thank you. It is socialist pop music, which is hilarious because those two things.
Socialist pop music.
Pop music. Okay.
Yeah,
I like
we're
that.
just taking it back and we're putting some Karl Marx on it, taking it away from Jeff Bezos.
Now, I've watched your couch concerts and you're a blast. How'd you get into comedy? What was the catalyst to combining comedy and music?
Well, I was a singer for a long time in my life. I was actually, the first thing I ever did in my life was I was a child model. And the first thing I actually did was I modeled a 2-piece swimsuit. So I'm technically a former bikini model. Okay.
After the show, because I used to work for Sports Illustrated, and so maybe we can get you into the swimsuit issue.
Oh my God, yes!
She said,
Me and my ukulele and just fighting the power of my body. I was already fighting the power of my voice. Fight the power of my body, you know. So, but yeah, so I started out as a very young performer, basically. And then I started doing behind the scenes work, which is how I did producing. But I always had this singing talent. I always had this performing talent. So I started doing stand-up comedy. And I always appreciated people like Bo Burnham or Flight of the Conchords who combined comedy and music. And I was like, well, I actually have all these skills. And there's, to be honest, not too many female musical comedians out there, and especially women of color musical comedians. So I thought it would be, you know, nice to go and represent girls and get my point of view out there, combining all my talents. So yeah, my next step will eventually be to do interpretive dances because that's my other talent. So
nice.
Just Nikki.
All right, now I just want to start right out. You were going to perform one of your singles from your EP, and it's available on Spotify, The Key of Yee.
Yeah.
You're performing "Dear John Smith." So let's go ahead and play that.
Yes. So I would like to do a little intro, if that's okay.
Okay,
that I
absolutely.
usually do when I'm on stage at live shows, but I haven't been on one of those in a year. So. Right, so this is my live show now. So I'm gonna play a song I wrote for you guys, and it's called "Dear John Smith." And I was inspired to write this song because I'm kind of like a hippie, SJW, protesty type person, and I'm always walking around yelling things like "fuck the police" and "fuck the patriarchy" and "down with the white man." But I have this problem where I also crave pink dick. So what do you do? What do you do when you're down with the white man, but you could also stand to go down on the white man? So I wrote a song between that rock and hard place where I just love being so much. Back a little bit so y'all can see me. And here it is, Dear John Smith. And I want to dedicate this song to all the white men in the world. And I hope you all go and read a fucking book after this. I go around and claim I'm woke, but my taste in men is kind of broke. SJWs, please don't have a fright, but I want to get with someone white. So colonize me, daddy. Now you get it? Daddy, you can take your big white hands and claim this undiscovered land. Deforest my body for my spice. Plow through my fields of rice. But when I try to cook for you, you'll tell me you don't eat spicy food. But you can colonize me, daddy. It's called seasoning, Dylan.
Seasoning.
We can eat just a little way that you're the head of the CIA. We can reenact the saga of the U.S. and Nicaragua. Imperialize me for my fruit, like it's 1492. Oh, won't you colonize me, daddy? That was a little Christopher Columbus joke. 'Cause the original
1492.
That's right. It's funny, actually. I have to say, Canadians don't know that, but I'm so glad there's some Americans here
Oh
tonight.
yeah. Yeah, Robbie wouldn't know that.
Between these luscious thighs, Daddy, I will nationalize. I like my democracy thick, so overwhelm me with that big pink real politics. Oh, colonize, Daddy. What did you guys think he was going to say there? After you have the island, I'll ask you for a helping hand. You'll just look down at me and say no, 'cause you're just a white demon, fly low, but you can colonize me, Daddy. So that last line is dedicated to all the white people who have been to Vancouver. I'm sure Rob knows what I'm talking about. Here it is, this first lesson was free of your people's history. Of course, so you don't give a fuck till you text me at 3 a.m. to say, hey, you up to colonize me, Daddy? Okay, so since the hosts are here, I am going to use you what I normally do with my live audience, and I'm going to ask you to sing along.
Okay.
It's very easy. You're going to know we've been singing it this whole time. So we're going to sing it all together. I'm going to count you in.
All right.
Ready? Sure. 1, 2, 3, go! Colonize.
Me, Daddy. No, I can't say that.
One more time. Ready? Colonize.
Me, Mommy.
That was beautiful. You should give yourselves a round of applause. I would socialize you gladly when you just colonize me, Daddy. Oh, colonize me. Yes, I'm just showing off, Daddy.
That was awesome.
That was a lot of fun. The live audience I've had in a really long time, so it's very nice to have people to sing along. So.
That was absolutely
That was
hilarious.
great.
Absolutely hilarious. Bunch of comments online. Kevin Thaxton said this is hilarious. Friggin' hilarious.
Yeah.
Jose says, yes, a fellow Canadian and Ontarian.
That's right.
Mike Winter says, I love Vancouver. Ernest Cooper says, colonize me, Daddy, TLS men. I said mommy. I just want to point out, I said mommy.
Okay, you can you can say whatever you want. You know, it's a state line.
That was great, Nikki. That's great. So that you said that's on Spotify, right?
It's on Spotify, it's on iTunes, it's on Apple, it's on Google, it's on Amazon. You can make a TikTok to it, start a viral dance. It's everywhere.
Oh yeah, okay. So you got the sound. Oh, we should probably do a TikTok to it. We should probably do it.
I would love to see how you're doing.
Nice. I'll definitely do that.
Johnny's gonna do a TikTok.
Nice.
Johnny's always doing a TikTok. All right, so let's get to some of the questions. Lizzie Enders, you have a question for Nikki?
So, in terms of writing, like when your songs come out and people start to analyze your lyrics, what has been the pushback? What has been the response?
So I kind of get two groups of people. There's the groups of people who are like, I love this. I understand this. I've had some poli-sci professors come up to me and say, this is actually how history went. I know that you went to school. And I'm like, I did. And then I get the other side, which is really like kind of fratty white dude bros who are like, why do you hate white people? So
Yeah, that would make sense.
I don't hate white people. I'm asking you to colonize me, Daddy. So that's an invitation.
yeah, there's exactly. I'm like, hey, is your name Dylan? Because I am there, sir. Like, but you know, it's also funny because I do get some people who are like, oh, and they're usually people of color, and they come up to me, they're like, yeah, I like white guys too. I don't know what to do. They're just so cute though. So
I've dated my fair share of white guys, let me tell you. And I do not hate white people, but I think, you know, in some instances, we need some humor to get us out of this funk, to get us out of this, you know, adversarial, I hate you, you hate me, let's fight, where do you come from, you don't belong here. So yeah, I see the humor in all of it. I might not say colonize me daddy though, I might not say those lyrics. But I understand the humor behind it. And even from, you know, looking at the comments that we have, you know, it's funny. It's funny. So that's a good thing.
Thank you. Yeah, and it's also, I'm someone who I have my beliefs, obviously, as we can see in the music, but I like to approach it with a sense of humor because I don't want my beliefs to own me. I don't want them to spike up my cortisol and turn my hair gray and I'm losing sleep over everything that's happening in the world all the time. Because, you know, you can't fill others' cup from your own empty cup, you know? So I feel like humor is a good outlet that can bring people together and we can just let out some of that tension that is everywhere, and understandably so. So, you know, that's where I like to approach it from. I don't feel like I serve my community better when if I was trying to educate people or something, it's much easier for me to communicate with people through jokes. So yeah.
So this is not one quick thing, Robbie Rock. This is a show that doesn't really use like the D word that much. Like we don't say dick a lot. We say
I don't know. You said it a lot. You said it a lot last week. Last show.
Heinous. That's what I'm expecting you to say when you did that pause. I was like, you say the P word. Yes, P.
I said politic though, so there was P. It was just a different
word.
P.
Your next word could be polidick. Polidick.
There we go. Yeah. I've definitely had some audience members, they're like trying to fill it in and they're like, oh, this? And I'm like, girl, I wrote the pause in, okay? Don't help me. I was like, I know what I'm doing. I performed this a zillion times. So
Robbie Rock.
Yeah, helpful audience members.
I love that you bring in comedy with the social justice message with the education piece. I think it's absolutely brilliant. From a technical side, I'm curious how you came about your musical and vocal skills. What kind of training you've received?
Well, I'm self-taught on the ukulele. So so that's why it's kind of bad. I'm sure
bad. I mean, you're the rock. You're the guitarist. She's pretty good, right?
I enjoyed it. It was for a live performance. It was wonderful. Absolutely.
Thank you very much. I feel like when I watch ukulele experts and then I look at myself play, I'm like, oh, it's kind of bad. But I'm sure, yeah, to everyone else, they don't notice it because really also the ukulele more substitutes the voice and the words. So I'm not trying to be amazing at it. And I did about 8 years of vocal training from the ages of 11 to 18 or so basically through junior high to high school. And I also studied musical theater when I was in high school. I went to an art school. So I have quite a bit of training there. I always studied though pop, rock. I studied jazz singing. I studied musical theater singing and folk singing. So you won't catch me doing opera. She's a pure alto, but yeah. So that's my musical training, and I still try to supplement it all the time. I'm always, even before this show, I was warming up. I was doing like me mamo moos, and I was doing throat coat tea. So yeah,
Yeah.
just walking around and all those things, you know.
Yeah.
So I still take my vocal craft very seriously, even though it's comedy. So I appreciate you asking me about the music, because I do love that part of it.
Before we get to Gianni Storm's questions, Vanessa G says, I knew the 1942 reference and I'm Canadian.
Right?
Yes, Vanessa has read books.
Vanessa's a high school history and civics teacher.
Oh, so she would know.
Hopefully she
have
knows.
to.
So hopefully she knows the bullshit behind the 1492 reference as well. Like, you know,
I got it too. I don't.
Sure you did,
He
Rob.
was in the
know why
Sure
I
you
was
did.
called
Sure
out.
you did, Rob.
I got it.
Colonize me, Daddy. Colonize me.
So you can't sing. So Neo can't sing it, but he'll speak it to me. I'm flattered, bro.
Go figure. Go
It's a
figure.
slam poetry version, the spoken word edition.
Spoken word version.
Nothing in Robbie Rock's ear.
All right, Gianni, what was your question for Nikki?
Oh, my question is, I have two questions. I feel like the first
Uh-oh, a little technical.
I think we're losing her on her sound.
really?
Wait, try again.
So right now you're good.
Okay. You guys can hear
Yes.
me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. So my first question, Nikki, was where do you see yourself as far as your talent and what you have going on, like in the future, whether that be 5 years, 10 years? Yeah, that's my first question. Where do you see yourself?
Oh, okay. Now I feel like it's a job interview.
Sorry.
It's okay. So it's funny. If you had asked me this question prior to the COVID lockdown situation, I would have, because also part of it is that I'm a producer and a writer and all these things in the film world. So I would have probably seen myself translating some of this to perhaps a sketch show or a podcast or a TV show of sorts. Now that everyone's plans have been blown up, my New Year's resolution is just to kind of see what happens. So I feel like, because in a way with everything that's happened with COVID, is everyone's in the same place. Everybody's at home. You know, everyone is just staying where they are. We're not necessarily looking to branch out so much. So I feel like in 5-10 years, I just hope that I'm happy and I'm healthy and I'm doing something I love.
That's the best thing. So I have a question about Ice Road Trucker, because I know you're a producer on Ice Road. I'm curious. I mean, there's some cold places. I've watched it. They go some cold places. I mean, are you out in those places?
I don't have to be, thank God. It is actually, I think originally it was filming in America, so I'm assuming it was like Alaska or something.
Okay.
And then when we got it, we started shooting it in northern Manitoba and northern Ontario. But I have to say, the unfortunate thing is with climate change, it's not as easy to film there. The window is closing. So please, everybody, believe that climate change is real.
Yeah, we're actually going to talk about that in one of our hot topics in a minute.
Yeah, so but I don't have to be there, and I wouldn't want to be there. But you know, the crew and the drivers and everything, they are very brave, and I applaud them for being out there. So yeah.
Awesome. So unfortunately, we are out of time. But are there any last words, any shout outs that you want to share? Anything you'd like to say to our audience? And of course, let them know where to find you.
Well, yes, I'm available on all the platforms. I'm on, Instagram and TikTok and Twitter and Facebook and YouTube. So you can just type in Nikki Yee or Nikki Yee Flow Show, which I'm sure is highlighted on your pages as well. And you can follow me. I do couch concerts. We do sketches. I do all kinds of fun from home. I make being at home really fun. And if there's any shout out I could give, it's everything. Just wear a mask, please. Take care of each other. Vaccines are coming. We're almost through this. So, please don't have parties. Just stay home and take care of each other and think of your grandma. And if not your grandma, your grandma's friends or anybody who is compromised. They've really had to suffer through this. So yeah, I just implore everybody to wear a mask.
Absolutely. All right, guys. So don't forget, check out the Key of Yee. It's streaming now on Spotify, iTunes, and YouTube, and a few other places as well. So check it out. Thank you for joining us. Now, Nikki Yee, you agreed to hang out a little bit for our game show at the end.
I will be back for the game. I'm so excited.
Awesome.
And thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us. All right, so we're gonna wait for you in the game. It should be a lot of fun. So we'll see you then. But thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
That was awesome, huh?
It was awesome.
Nikki, it was fun.
I just need her to put a little bit of bass in her voice when she says her handle, her hashtag, Nikki Yee Faux Show.
Oh, show.
Faux Show. Yes. Faux Show.
At Nikki Yee Faux Show.
Let them know, girl. Let them know.
All right, let's get into our hot topic.
Truth, lies, shenanigans.
All right, for hot topics, each of our hosts brings a hot topic with you. We'll ask if it's a truth. Let's start out with your topic. There's a big old controversy with these busts in the White House. Is this a truth, lie, or is this shenanigans? Bust.
It's shenanigans, and we're not talking about good busts, not the booba bust. About actual ceramic busts that people, little statues and things like that. The Brits ought to be ashamed of themselves, especially after all the love Americans have given them over the show Bridgerton. So the day after, President Biden inauguration last Wednesday, he got to work in the White House, in the Oval Office. And one of the first things he did was remove a bust of Winston Churchill from the Oval Office. Now, for those of you who are not that familiar with Winston Churchill, he was the former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom of Britain, led them through World War II. Both he and FDR kind of worked hand in hand during World War II. And so he is seen as probably the most famous Brit outside of the monarchy, but also he's like the great white hype in Britain, okay? And so for whatever reason, the Brits use that as an idea. They have this idea that we owe him some type of homage, some type of, flair here in the States. And so the bust that was in the White House, it's been there for several decades. It's actually on loan from Britain. Mm-hmm. So when Obama took office in 2009, January 2009, he took the bust out of the Oval Office, replaced it with a bust of Martin Luther King Jr., but he didn't take it out of the White House. He just put it somewhere else in the White House. And even then, the Brits had a fit. Like that Brit fit. And so back then, current British Prime Minister Boris Johnson, back then he had a lot to say about Obama removing the bust from the Oval Office. So he said at that time in 2016, 2017, he was the mayor of London. And he wrote in a piece, he said, the part Kenyan Obama may have removed the bust because he harbored an ancestral dislike of the British Empire, of which Churchill had been such a fervent defender. So for whatever reason, these people, the Brits, really have their panties in a bunch over Winston Churchill and this bust. And so it made a lot of headlines in Britain on Thursday, on Friday, about how we snubbed how Biden snubbed the Brits, how, the new administration is ungrateful, that they need to go and brush up on their history a little bit about who Winston Churchill was and what he meant to not only Great Britain, but to the world, moving forward, trying to defeat Hitler during World War II. So my question to the panel, first and foremost, should this be seen as a snub? Is this a big deal? Would it have offended you? Let's start with Robbie Rock.
Yes.
I see it as
Considering,
it's a transition.
Canada was a British colony, right?
Yeah, and actually, with my story, we still have some ties to the crown.
Yeah, I was gonna say to the Queen.
You have the Queen you still have the Queen in your currency, correct?
Yeah, absolutely, we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't see the removal of the bust as a snub. It's a transition. It's time for change, and he replaced this with Cesar Chavez, if I'm not mistaken. And Chavez has been really an inspirational individual as far as supporting low-paid farmers, workers, those who are seeking better living conditions. And I think that that's more representative of what America needs right now. And I think it's more in line with what Biden's values are, as opposed to supporting a wartime president or prime minister who was great in his own time, absolutely. But if people are that upset about an artifact that is on loan, then return the artifact.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. You understand?
I feel like I wouldn't consider it a snub. A snub is something that's kind of like a snub at the Grammys. It's like the artist deserved it, so they're kind of like saying that it deserves to be there, but it's on loan. So I just feel like they're taking it personal. Not all of the Brits, also, Liz. I know it was like the right winged. I didn't even know that was a thing in the UK too. Like there's a whole different side, but it's only certain political people in Britain and the UK that feel that way. But I think that it may just be a personal thing. It's definitely not. It definitely isn't a snub. Basically, I think that the Brits are kind of taking it too personally,
Yeah.
and it is time for change. Like
they're melodramatic, especially in their tabloids. Like, if you sneeze the wrong way, it makes the front page of the tabloid. So, Neo?
Yeah.
So, I mean, first of all, who are they to say where we're supposed to put anything anyway? But if I'm being honest, this is just stupid. People looking for something to complain about. I mean, there's so many more important issues that we need to address. I mean, who honestly cares about these busts anyway, other than apparently the Brits? Now back when Obama took over, I get it, because, it was something to talk about when he replaced it with MLK. I mean, on both sides, there was something to talk about because of the significance of the change. But with COVID, people dying, Trump era over, I could care less about these stupid busts. If I'm being honest, he could move the bust anywhere he wants. I mean, he could put it in storage. He didn't even do that. I don't know. Did he put it in storage? Do we know if he put it in storage or it's still displayed, right?
I think, like Obama, he just moved it to another area within the White House.
I mean, who's to say what he's supposed to look at every time he's in the Oval Office? If he wants to look at Cesar Chavez for inspiration, why can't he look at Cesar Chavez? I'm just saying. Who are the Brits to say where this bust needs to be? I mean, it's not like when they gave the bust away, they said, "Hey, we're giving you this bust so you can put it in the Oval Office. If it's not there, we're going to be upset about it." But really, who cares? That's how I feel. What are your thoughts, Liz?
Yeah, and maybe that's not Biden's hero. Like maybe he wants to be inspired by something else.
That's where he does his important work. So if he doesn't want to see Churchill, so what?
I mean, personally, two things. One, I think, like I said before, I think the Brits have a lot of nerve. Even if it was just a small faction, but it still made a lot of headlines in London. But I think, they have a lot of nerve. If you brush up on your history a little bit, the Brits burned down the White House in 1814. So you should be thankful that we even have.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You burned down the White House in 1814?
Canadians?
Yeah, the Canadians did that. under the British flag, but we did that.
So,
but it's okay.
again,
we love the way you repainted it. The white is beautiful.
Can we get that blame Canada? Can we get that blame Canada?
Oh, you got it. Yep. Blank, where is it? Okay. Yep.
But if you go back to history, Rob B, there was a night in 1814 where the British took over Washington D.C. and they burned several government buildings, including the White House. And so, in my opinion, we shouldn't be hyping them that much. But let's talk about Winston Churchill for a second. Winston Churchill, I've always been fascinated by the idea that Americans in particular find him to be this great iconic figure. Winston Churchill was a racist. Yes, he led Great Britain through World War II, which, as the prime minister, he's supposed to do. He's supposed to protect his country. However, he hated Black people. He hated Indians. And when I say Indians, I mean, people from the country of India.
India. Okay.
He hated Indians from India. He hated other Asians. And so let me just read you a couple of quotes that Winston Churchill made about non-white people in other countries. So at one point he said that he hated people with slit eyes and pigtails. So I would imagine he would have been talking about, at that time, people in the Chinese government, in China particularly. To him, people from India were the beastiest people in the world, next to the Germans. He admitted that he did not really think that Black people were as capable or as efficient as white people. So in 1943, when then U.S. Vice President Henry Wallace challenged him on that notion, Churchill, who, was a big drinker, so I'm not going to fault him for being a drinker, because some of us like, to taste vodka or bourbon or whatever.
We're not calling names.
But he said that he said, why would he apologize about being a great Anglo-Saxon and having superiority, that with that superiority that they were better than the common non-white man? So I always, when people try to hype up Winston Churchill, I'm always fascinated by that. I'm like, well, maybe they just know about his wartime presence during World War II, but they don't know about this other side. That's not to say that there haven't been racist U.S. presidents, because we all know there have been U.S. presidents. Our founding fathers owned slaves, but we are in the 21st century now where we are calling these people out. So to hear a lot of Americans, hype up, I believe John Harbaugh, University of Michigan football coach, hypes up Winston Churchill whenever he gets a chance. And I'm like, so I guess you're not going to have an Indian football player on your team, huh?
All right. Liana Jones says, teach, Liz, teach. George Fournier says, to Rob B, as far as the Canadians, we sure did. Taking down the White House.
Complicit. We're together with the Brits. Rob B, why we have you on our show? Why we blame
taking down our White House.
Because I'm your token Canadian that you can blame.
There we go.
Token. Rob B, I asked you for one of the future shows. I have to give Neo a copy of the Robin Williams performance. I believe it was at the Oscars when he did Blame Canada. Because that was the first time. I didn't really watch a lot of South Park back then, but that was the first time that I saw it, and I was in tears, cracking up laughing.
Mike Winter says, also the right-wingers lost their mind for Chavez and said that he should have that instead Biden should add an American hero. I guess they consider Churchill's whiteness American.
But those same right-wingers will be the first to put on a sombrero and have a beer on Cinco de Mayo, not even knowing the true nature or what the history of Cinco de Mayo. So y'all can shut it too. Pick up a damn book.
Kevin Thaxton said Margaret Thatcher is way better than Churchill. Interesting thought. All right, so that's it for that hot topic.
Truth, lies, shenanigans.
All right, Robbie, you wanted to talk about adding some diversity to the Canadian leadership. Is this truth, lies, or shenanigans?
Well, this is some truth. This is some truth coming on the tails of some shenanigans. So I guess we'll start with a quick history civics lesson. In the US, the head of state and the head of government are one and the same, the president. In Canada, the Queen is represented by the Governor General, who is represented by the Governor General, is the head of state, and the Prime Minister is the head of government. So the Governor General of Canada is mostly a ceremonial position with very little power. Some of the duties include swearing into office the Prime Minister, the Cabinet Ministers, Chief Justice of Canada, summoning, proroguing, dissolving Parliament, delivering speeches from the throne, signing into effect official documents such as orders in council. So really, it's a lot of ceremonial stuff in the seat of power. We have had numerous First Nations representation as elected officials at the provincial and federal level, but never as the Governor General. Now, the reason we are without a Governor General right now is because Julie Payette has stepped down on January 21st amidst allegations of bullying, harassment, and creating a very toxic work environment at a federal level. So just had to walk away. So on screen, thank you so much, Neo. That is Grand Chief Arlen Dumas of the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs. And he's gone public saying that he wants to see a First Nations person replace Julie Payette as the Governor General. And the reasoning is that such an appointment would pay respect to the spirit and intent of the treaties between Canada's First Nations people and the Crown. So my question to my co-host is, should Justin Trudeau appoint a First Nations person as the next Governor General? Start with Johnny.
Yeah. I feel like I understand that it doesn't hold a lot of power, but I do feel at the same time that it's a respect thing. It's an honor thing. I know that also it's kind of because I know that also in the article is stated that maybe that Canada isn't really ready for that because maybe it's actually sending the wrong message and kind of showing this illusion of progress or something like that, so to speak. So I can understand that, but I feel like, well, is that not part of the progress? Is to put somebody in that position? And although he doesn't have the power to take people out or change laws or anything like that, it's like maybe that influence is giving somebody other Indigenous people, some type of inspiration or some type of confidence to actually affect law and do things like that. So I feel like, yeah, why not let him, hold that position?
You make a great point because even if it's false, representation, it's still the visual representation of someone in that position is valuable in itself because, like, if you look at, for example, Kamala Harris being the VP, when young girls see that, that's a significant thing to them, even if it were just if she never becomes president, if she never becomes president of the United States, just the fact that she's in that position still gives young women, young Black girls, young Asian American girls that hope or that inspiration that they can accomplish that. That was a great point, Johnny. Now,
Just,
so
well, go ahead. Go ahead. On it later.
well, I mean, if you want to talk about what she just said, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to counter that point with Kamala Harris is qualified, though. Like, I wouldn't want there to be a Black VP just for the sake of having a Black VP. That's not representation.
That's a good.
And so I appreciate that, even when Biden came out actually and said, one, he was going to pick a female VP, I kind of had an issue with that.
I did too. I'm not
because I was like, we don't want participation trophies over here. If it's a qualified female VP, absolutely. But if you're just, filling the position because you're posturing, you're just trying to seem
I
like,
didn't like that actually.
okay, I'm pandering to the female audience, then we don't need that. That's not representation. So yes, Kamala, love her in that position because she's
He
qualified.
is qualified.
And that would be my position for if this were an appointment in Canada that had some weight. I would say yes. I don't have a problem with picking someone from the indigenous community as long as they're qualified. And I'm sure there are tons of qualified people from that community who could serve in this position.
But
But
not
don't
just.
throw people a bone. People don't want to be thrown a bone. That's patronizing. It's offensive, and like some people say, it makes people give people a false sense of security. Okay, so we put a Native American in this position. Maybe they'll be quiet. Maybe it will pacify them. Maybe they will shut up now. That's not what we want. You want someone in there that has merit and that can do something. So yeah. So to answer your question very quickly, Rob, yes, I do think it's a good thing, and hopefully in the future it will lead to consideration for people who have experience from that community to be considered. That's what we want. That's what we want.
I like Dario Winter's response to you, by the way. He said, but he knew women who were qualified for the position before he made the announcement, which makes sense, actually.
But yeah, he knew women who were qualified, but
So he knew he was going to pick a qualified woman. He just was saying that I'm going to pick a woman.
What if there was a more qualified man? What if there was a more qualified black man? We've never had a black male vice president either.
I mean, he did box himself in, and I personally didn't like it either at the beginning.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm happy with with Kamala as our VP. But like you said, I don't like those type of statements, especially since I think Biden was pandering.
Right.
I think he was pandering to the community.
All right. So Robbie, my answer to the question. So if the numbers are right on Wikipedia, there are just under 2 million indigenous people in Canada, and although there wasn't the same level of like genocide that there was in America, there was certainly a massive effort to assimilate and eliminate the culture itself. Now, personally, I think diversity should exist everywhere. It's frustrating that even in democracies, we've been in the habit of giving power to white males throughout history. Granted, historically, white males have effectively denigrated everyone else, again, historically, to the point that other groups have historically accepted themselves as inferior. It's great that upcoming generations and current generations are seeing through the facade. So when we see Biden diversifying his cabinet, making the statement that power and capability does not and should not depend on the way you look, I think other countries like Canada should definitely take note of that fact. I understand Lizzie's counterpoint. We just don't want anybody in those positions. But the fact remains, there are qualified people for those positions if we're looking for those qualified people in those groups. But we've eliminated those groups for so long that we can't even find. They're not finding them because they're not really looking where they are. And then, of course, a lot of those groups, even indigenous groups, have been held back. So, the qualifications are, there's fewer qualified people because of, a lot of the problems. No, RB, I know you didn't get to really respond to your own question. So about 30 seconds.
Sure. So yeah, naysayers will say that it is a token position with all the symbolism and none of the power. But like you've alluded to, representation is key. And having the ear of those in power should not be dismissed, and it can yield significant benefits when you're working towards resolving existing inequities. Just like Biden's cleaning house and appointing a variety of members to different positions or supporting positions, he's bringing that diversity. I believe that having a First Nations Governor General will be a good step towards reconciliation. It doesn't fix the history of treaties not being honored, land and resource disputes, racial issues, but it's a start. Representation and influence are key factors in affecting change.
I think the way to resolve that is just not to pick a token, not to just pick someone who is going to be a seat filler. Like I said, pick someone from that community who has merit, who has some history, who can make a difference, who has a voice. Like, we talk about, Biden saying that he wanted to, have a woman as a VP. I mean, he could have easily picked Candace Owens. He could have easily picked, a female comedian. He could have easily picked any woman that had no merit, no right to be the vice president of the United States.
I think he knew when he made the statement that he didn't intend to do that.
But that's you open it up to that type of interpretation. Like, I don't even think he needed to make the statement to begin with. And Rob, I think that's completely different than what you're talking about here. But I don't even think he needed to make the statement to begin with. Like, if you have women that you are thinking about for VP, just pick the woman. We don't need some grandiose statement.
Yeah, I agree with that. I still agree with it, even though I'm still making the counterpoint. But Daria Winter says, no, no, no. He was not pandering. Women nor people of color have not been overlooked because they are unqualified. These are the excuses people use to ignore qualified women and minorities. Mike Winter says, go ahead.
I disagree, Daria.
I know you. Okay.
Respectfully.
Mike Winter says genocide in Canada versus genocide in the U.S. was pretty much the same as far as I know. Maybe not in the coldest part. I don't know if it was the same. I don't know
Well, the numbers are different.
Yeah.
The numbers are like the population numbers are different. So, and again, I don't think we should compare. That's not something.
I agree with you. We shouldn't. Yep. All right. Jacqueline Robinson says Biden and his team seriously vetted potential running mates before deciding to say that. Liana Jones says not just Black or Asian American girls, all girls. George Fournier said, excellent point, Gianni. Excellent point. Vanessa G says, would be a good step to reconciliation. However, First Nations people do not necessarily pay homage to the Queen, nor recognize the Queen's power in Canada. So there is a conflict of interest.
All right, now, speak on it. Speak on it.
Excellent point, Vanessa. Excellent point. All right, we got to get on to the next hot topic. We are way behind on time. All right.
Truth, lies, shenanigans.
All right, Gianni, you're going to tell us about this carbon capture technology. Is this truth, lies, or shenanigans?
These are some lies. Well, I consider them lies. You guys can judge for yourself. Okay. So Elon Musk, aka billionaire Tesla chief, proposes $100 million for the best carbon capture technology. So he made an announcement last week. He tweeted that he's promising to drop more details this week in regards to anybody that can come up with this technology. The tweet received a large buzz on Twitter because a lot of people were saying, like, retorting back, they were saying, how about planting a tree? That's my submission. So I wanted to tie this also to Biden, the newly sworn in president. He's pledged to accelerate the development of carbon capture technology as part of this plan for tackling climate change at this time. So on Thursday, he named Jennifer Wilcox, an expert in carbon removal technologies, as a principal deputy assistant for fossil energy in the U.S. Department of Energy. So my question to you guys, do you think that we need more? Do you believe that we need carbon capture technology or other alternatives for this climate control dilemma?
Can I actually start?
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. So just to be clear, basically, they're creating these huge plants to pull carbon dioxide from the air, right? So, and using your chemistry classes, they combine it with some solutions, and then when the carbon dioxide in the air hits these solutions, it creates these pellets called calcium bicarbonate, and then these pellets can be used to be stored energy, or they can actually be converted into a fuel source. Now, the fuel source, using this as a fuel source, is referred to as carbon neutral, because the carbon is released, carbon that the fuel releases is basically the same carbon that was already in the air before, right? So it's considered carbon neutral. So it's not actually reducing the amount of carbon. And then also the oil companies have gotten involved. The oil companies are trying to figure out how to utilize the technology. They've actually figured out how to use the carbon dioxide that's pulled from the air to kind of push the oil up faster or easier so that they can get more oil production. And on top of that, if you really consider it, it takes power to power these carbon plants. So oftentimes they're using power from the grid, which means we're using carbon dioxide from coal plants and things like that. There are some using solar and wind. But most importantly to me, when you sent this article, was, we know how greed works, right? So let's say the oil companies get involved in this, and if these carbon, extraction plants could potentially get to the point, if the fuel becomes really easy to make, really effective, they could potentially over farm the CO2 out of the air in time, right? Let's say Elon Musk's plan works, and $100 million, and they find this thing that makes carbon dioxide the next fuel of the future. And all we're doing is pulling carbon dioxide from the air. Do you know what happens when they pull too much carbon dioxide from the air? The exact opposite of what's happening with global warming. And so then we'll be talking about how, ice age. We're talking about an ice age and how we destroyed the planet all over again because of these. I just feel like these oil companies being involved is a big problem for me. And it's sort of like, you remember when we used to talk about paper? Paper, we had all this paper and we're destroying all the trees, and we had the Paperwork Reduction Act and all. And then, now we're making, like, instead of the plastic straws, now we're using paper straws, right? So now paper has become the new thing, and it's just going to be a matter of time. We're overproducing paper straws. It's like a never-ending cycle of trying to manage all of the problems in our environment that humans are creating. The problem is the humans. So, I think the biological means are the best ways. I think we should consider planting more trees, make that a bigger focus. I know it's a focus, but, and not putting the CO2 in the air in the first place. That's where I stand.
Okay. So very quickly, you alluded to having too much CO2 in the air causing the warming, and that it would go into global freezing, if you will, called the midnight sun, in which the sun became so hot that it produced 100-degree temperatures on the earth and started melting and burning everything. So the episode is talking about how people are trying to go north, where it's a little bit cooler, what they were trying to do to get away from the sun. And eventually, of course, everyone in theory would have burned. But then, in true Rod Serling fashion, the protagonist of the story, she kind of shifted and woke up from the dream of the earth burning. And it was the complete opposite. It was the earth freezing. And so this is something, we're talking about it a lot now, but this is something, again, I think the world of Rod Serling, the creator of The Twilight Zone, I think he was clairvoyant on a lot of these issues. This was something that he put in episode back in the 60s. As it relates to Gianni's topic and the question that she has for the panel, this is one of those topics that I really don't know a lot about. So I'm, listening to Gianni.
I use up all the time. My bad.
Listening to Neo and what they are trying, the information they're giving us on this topic. I guess first and foremost, do I really think the idea is worth $100 million? No. Not when we, especially during a pandemic, when we have people who are unemployed, people are starving, they can't pay their rent or whatever. And that's not to say that Elon Musk isn't, doing more in philanthropy and giving money to other places. But I'm just like, you could get the same response for $50 million, for $10 million. $100 million is a lot of money.
Well, it's going to cost a lot of money to develop the technology.
But he has it. He's the world's richest person now, right?
Yeah. No. Bezos is the world's richest person.
Bezos bumped him just last week.
Yeah, got him
beat. He just bumped, it fluctuates so much, I can't keep up.
Bezos is going to hold on to it. Robbie Rock,
my $2 in the bank, I'm just like, whoo, I can't even fathom. $1,000
Yeah.
billion. But yeah, go ahead, Rob.
So the oil companies becoming involved isn't as big a threat as you might envision, Neo, because if they're capturing the carbon emissions and we're using them as fuel, and that's carbon neutrality, that's a huge win because we do know that there's too strong a concentration of greenhouse gases. Using natural means is fine and dandy, and it's a great idea long term, but humans live in very short terms. We think in the term of a century, if you will. My lifetime, if I'm lucky, is a century. So what's going to happen over 100 years of my life? Well, if I want to see a solution for global warming, for the greenhouse gases, I'm going to have to implement something that's aggressive in my lifetime, because we can plant all the trees that we want, but if we're already behind the 8 ball on it, it's not enough. So we do need to step in, and if we can reuse a lot of that byproduct, because a lot of industrial byproduct has been wasted up until very recently in the industrial age. We are now capturing a lot of these toxic products, these byproducts, and making something productive out of it. So I can appreciate the concern about over farming CO2, but that's something that has to be part of the long-term plan and development. And you're right, once the capitalists get involved and they want to make their buck, then unfortunately they're not thinking of the plebes and the long-term effects of their decisions. But we do need to.
30 seconds. If you can knock it out, we're going to get to this game.
So yeah, basically, all in all, I do feel like we should plant more trees. Of course, I'm always advocating planting more trees, but also I think that it would be interesting to see a possible technology, a new technology that captures it. But I would like to see like an alternative, not something that takes carbon dioxide to make or capture carbon. Like, I'm not into the tech stuff of it, so I have no idea. But something that's a little bit more green effective, something a little bit more environment conscious type of a technology besides planting trees. So
I still think we need to focus more on wind and solar and improving that technology personally. All right. That is, well, let's see. Let's get a couple of comments online really quick. So if we're using CO2, this is Kevin Thaxton. The reason it's using CO2 for fuel, will cars be fitted with breathalyzers or straws to start cars? Jose says, you're absolutely right at Neo. It's because of us. And Mike Winter points out, but paper is recyclable. So, all right. Thank you for the comments online. Sorry we're running out of time, but that's it for Hot Topics. Great Hot Topics, guys.
Lies, shenanigans.
All right, we're going to get into our game show, and hopefully Nikki Yee is still sticking around. Nikki, are you with us? There she is. There she is. All right, so let me make sure your sound is on. All right, we can hear you now. All right, Lizzie, you get to go first on this one. So let me see if I can explain our game to everybody.
I'm so fly.
All right, today's game is from the app 5 Second Guess. I'll read off a phrase or question such as, for example, name 3 Italian foods, and you'll have 5 seconds to respond. If the answers are good, we'll select nailed it, or if not, we'll select failed it. And I am the judge. For example, if one of your 3 answers for Italian food is cereal, that's a fail. All right, each nailed it gets a point. Person with the most points wins. And we are starting off again with Liz E. All right, Liz E. The thing is, you have 5 seconds to respond. Name 3 stinky things.
3 stinky things. So, deteriorating dead body. Shit, obviously.
All right. Failed it. You even had like a little extra time.
5 seconds.
5 seconds.
Oh.
The third response would be Reggie Bush's breath. Stank breath.
All right. Robbie, your turn. Name 3 uses for your tongue, starting now.
Taste, touch, love.
All right. Taste, touch, love. Okay, we'll go with it. I'm a little iffy on the love, but we'll go with it. Nailed it. All right. All right, Gianni, your turn. Name 3 nighttime activities. Starting now.
This is Sunday, right?
Sleeping, watching TV, and
Oh, you missed the last one. Not in time. Failed it.
This time
Nikki,
crunch is stupid. It's
Nikki,
stupid.
you're up. You only have 5 seconds, Nikki. You ready?
Okay.
All right.
Clothes, me, and the boys. All right.
Thanks. Close me in the voice. She's on it. I couldn't even start the timer.
You better hope the boys hang. You better hope the boys hang.
Nailed it. She nailed it. All right. And the boy. All right. So Rob B and Nikki are in the lead. All right. Next round. All right. Lizzie, name 3 experiences that are better when drunk. Starting now.
Cussing folks out, paying bills, and looking in the mirror.
Oh, you got it right in time. Right in time. All right. Good job. Nailed it. All right,
Sex
Robbie.
is
Oh, this
sex is
should be fun. Name 3 gay men, Robbie. Starting now.
Neil Patrick Harris, my son Zachary, and my son-in-law Alex.
Okay. That's very good. Nailed it. Well done. All right. Yanni Storm, name 3 signs that he or she is into you. Starting now.
always touching you, flirting, and saying it.
Wait, say what? Wait, I need to make sure I heard that properly. Hold on. Say
Okay,
what?
so he's always touching you. He's always touching you. He's flirting, or he's outright says it.
Oh, he says it.
Does that
I thought you said something else. Okay.
What else did you say?
Nailed it. All right, Nikki. Name 3 things you don't want to hear the doctor say. Starting now.
You have COVID. I'm going to give you a shot. You have cancer.
Oh, nailed it. All right.
the shot one. As a diabetic, the shot one doesn't bother me at all. I take 6 shots a day.
She might be
That's
scared of
not-
shots. She might be scared of shots. All right, this is the last round. I'm actually
not scared either, but I know some people are, so I just went with it.
All right, so this is the last round. So we're going to see how we do. End of round 2. Lizzie 1, Rob 2, Gianni 1.
He's not cheating, Gianni. You see, he's cheating on us. You see, he's cheating.
Well,
I
you
know,
can tie it
look
up
at
at least. You
I'll
can at
give
least
it
tie
a-
it up if both Nikki and Rob don't get good answers. All right, you ready?
I mean, since I failed 2, so I'm out. So it should be them 3.
No. You can still tie it up if
Okay.
they don't get the answers. All right, so you ready?
Okay.
Now, you got the second one, Gianni. You got the second one.
No, she
You ready?
got one.
All right, Lizzie, name 3 scents that are turn-ons starting now.
Punani, bacon and eggs, and
Ooh.
pizza.
Oh, no, you didn't make it.
Oh,
All right, I'm going to let you have it. It was close enough. You got it it was right on the edge. All right, Rob B. Name 3 things that you wish you could happen at the push of a button starting now.
Write a hit song. Get a Diet Coke. Get money.
Okay, all right.
You said the last one, get money? You said get
Yeah.
money?
Diet Coke reference to Trump. I got that. I caught the reference. Nailed it. All right. Gianni Storm, name 3 places you should not drink. Starting now.
church, the delivery room, and school.
Oh, failed it. Didn't get the last one in time.
Can I just say, our church for communion had actual red wine, so we were drinking in church.
Yeah,
We were
yeah,
drinking.
I'm half Serbian, and I can confirm that the church that my family went to had a bar above it. So, like it was, it's a very Eastern Euro thing. So,
Yes.
church before.
All right. Right here. All right. So unfortunately, Johnny, you failed that one. But Nikki Yee, this is to tie it up with Rob B. All right.
Okay.
And then we're going to do one more, just you two. Are you ready? Name 3 people who are famous for a stupid reason. Starting now.
Trump, Kellyanne Conway, Rudy Giuliani.
Yeah, no. She just went down the list of Trumpers.
You know what I would have gone with?
Right.
Kim, Chloe, what's the other one?
Anya.
Kardashians, all Kardashians.
All right, this is our final round. Final round. This is between Nikki and Rob B. Nikki and Rob B. This is for all the marbles. So, by the way, Nikki, so the person who wins the game is the final thought for the show.
Oh wow!
Just to close out the show. That's the win. All right, so we're gonna say nailed it. All right, so 3-3-3. All right, ready? Rob B.
Yeah, man.
We're skipping her. Oh no, we're skipping Liz. Hold on. All right.
Wait, what?
Yeah. So it has your already in there. All right, you ready? So we're gonna go.
Cheating.
Rob B. Name 3 reasons to have a drink. Oh my God, so easy.
Celebration, depression, and
Nailed it.
How about waking up in the morning? Waking up in the morning.
Waking up in the
Hello.
morning.
I was gonna say being alive, you know.
Celebrate life.
Rob B's not a drinker. Rob B's like me. He's not a drinker. All right, so failed it. All right, so this is the chance, Nikki.
It said a drink. It didn't say alcoholic drink. It said a drink.
All right, Nikki. Oh, this is good. I'm just gonna go with this one, Nikki. Name 3 turn-ons starting now.
Pizza, tacos, hot socialist white men.
Okay, all right. Nailed it. All right, good job, Nikki. Good job. Nikki wins the game. All right, then you have to stick around for the final thought, Nikki. So stick around for just a little bit longer. All right.
I know any socialist white men. I don't think I've met one yet.
Bernie Sanders. Oh, sexy. Bernie Sanders is sexy. All right. All right. Hold on. We'll put you right back, Nikki. Hold on. So we always close out the game for some shout outs, so we got to get some shout outs in, guys. So let's get into some shout-outs. All right. Any shout outs? Any shout outs for Gianni Storm? Shout outs.
Yes. Shout out to everybody who is going to be participating in the TLS Creatives Contest. So we are calling on all artists, graphic designers, digital content creators, anybody with a creative idea. Send in a submission. You never know, you might win some new gear and an Echo Dot. So,
Nice.
yeah.
All right, Robbie Rock, shout out.
Shout out to the Canadians who have tuned in this evening to check out Nikki Yee and maybe me. I don't know. But yeah, shout out to George.
No, they probably didn't check you out at all.
Amazing. And yeah, definitely shout out to Nikki for joining us today and performing her song. Thank you so much.
All right,
Thank you, Nikki.
Lizzie Enders.
So, quick shout out to my little ones from another mother. My bestie, her son Jalen turned 6 this week, and then my goddaughter Savannah turned 19 yesterday. So, major shout outs to you guys. Woo, 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 woo.
Nice. Nikki Yee, any shout outs for you?
Well, I just want to give a shout out to the host of the show for having me. And
We loved having you.
Shout out to everyone here because it's been really fun and I really appreciate you guys having me on. And I've had such a good time playing games and singing with you. So shout out to
Yes.
you.
All right, I'm
Shout out
shouting.
right back at you. Right back at you.
And I owe a shout out to my wife, so that's my shout out. Mel, love you. That's my shout out. Taking a vacation soon, so looking forward to that. A much needed vacation. So, all right. That's it for our shout outs. All right, so that's all the time we have. I'd like to thank all of you guys for joining us. We hope that maybe you learned something new, gained a new perspective, even got some things off your chest. Don't forget, we need your support to keep this going. Like, follow, and subscribe at TLS Live Show. If you missed any of today's episodes, check our clips online on YouTube. And don't forget to subscribe to the audio replay of the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Google, Alexa. Just search Truth Lies Shenanigans. Had a fun time. I hope you guys did too. The next live show is on Sunday, January 27th, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Special thanks to our guest, Nikki Yee. Please make sure you check out her EP on Spotify, The Key of Yee, and her single, Radicalized. Also find her couch concerts on Instagram at Nikki Yee Show. All right, so Nikki, you get to close us out for the day. Final thoughts. Any final thoughts? Anything you want to say?
Firstly, having final thoughts makes me feel so much like Jerry Springer right now. I'm obsessed with that.
Yes.
Rob, you are not father. Rob, you are not father.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Don't lie.
Well, yes, I guess my final thought is to wear a mask, support the local businesses, and that capitalism is evil.
All right. All right.
For my final piece I want to leave y'all with.
All right. Thank you again, Nikki, for joining us. Have a great time. We'll see you guys on Wednesday.
Shenanigans. Truth, lies.